Yes, team. Welcome to the Total Mental Performance Podcast. Today, we are shooting this episode in a very special place, Welwyn Garden City Boxing Club, WGC Boxing Club. And it's my first ever place that I actually met a coach. The first time I ever decided to actually apply myself. And today we have a very special guest. I can honestly say if it wasn't for this man, I wouldn't be where I am today. I wouldn't be who I am today. And that guest is Steve Calvert. He's the founder of Hall Grove Garage. I can't even put it into words. I'm going to try and put it into words today, but I can't even put it into words. I just wouldn't be doing what I'm doing without him. I'm going to be leading most of the conversations, as we were having the conversation earlier. Steve, I'm pushing him right to his limit outside of his comfort zone, and we're going to have an absolute great time. Steve.
Hello.
Welcome to the podcast.
Let's get it done, son.
Let's get it out of the way, shall we? Well, can you remember when you first met me? Like, can you actually remember? There's that little skinny one.
I actually think it was on your first bout. I don't think I knew you till I saw you having your first bout, I believe. Possibly. Or it might have been just leading up to it when you would have been training for it because Louis was with you, wasn't he?
That's it.
Did you both box on the same show together, or was you?
Yeah, the Goslin.
Both at the same? Yeah.
It was on the Goslin. So, Steve's son, Louis Calvert, you've probably listened, if you've watched all these episodes, you'll have listened to that episode. If not, go back and listen to that episode. Louis was the reason I got into boxing. We started training together. We boxed, I think we walked into the gym when we was 11 or 12, and we had our first ever skills bout. And that fight was a funny fight. You remember it?
Vaguely, yeah.
So a skills bout is where kids fight, but there's not a decision. It's essentially them to practice their skills. And we call him Martin, our Marty. He was my first ever boxing coach, Steve's brother. He said to me in the corner, "Look, it's a skills bout, take it easy." And I was like, "Yeah, all right, Martin." And I looked across the ring, and his coach was shouting at him, "Get into him, start fast, start hard." And he just beat me up for a round to the point I was almost crying. There's so many people there as well. How many people was there, do you reckon?
You know, but we sold out twice. You couldn't get tickets. People on the phone to me all day trying to get tickets for that.
You couldn't get in?
Yeah, all the time trying to get tickets off me.
Absolutely packed. He beat me up for the first round, so I've come back to the corner basically crying. He beat me up. Martin said, "All right, look, they're not playing by the rules, kid. So I want you to go out there and I want you to smack him as hard as you can." I was like, "All right, Martin." And I did it. And then I bust his nose, and there was blood everywhere, and that turned into a real war. And by the end of it, I come back and he's like, "Look, that was a fight. You'd have won that." And really from there, that was the first time we met. And then from there, you just started coming to all my fights, didn't you?
Me and the Fat Boys did.
Yeah.
We had our own little, what do you call it? It's a supporters group, didn't we?
Yeah.
Yeah, we followed it all around the country, didn't we? I think I missed 2 of your fights.
Yeah, and then I think one was in Sweden, one was in Italy, wasn't it?
Yeah, but we watched one of them on stream, didn't we?
Yeah,
all around my house.
Yeah.
So I missed two in England. I missed.
Yeah, and they went everywhere, absolutely everywhere. So the Fat Boys, Steve has set up. If you're based in Hertfordshire, Welwyn Garden City, Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m.
Half six.
Set up the Fat Boys, and the Fat Boys group is essentially a bunch of ex-boxers, a bunch of guys in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and also guys that have never boxed
60s
before.
now.
60s as well, yeah.
Pete 60.
Pete 60, jeez. And people that haven't boxed before, and they followed me everywhere. All over the world, these guys followed me, and on that journey, it was just amazing. But Steve was the first person I knew that had a business. I didn't know anyone else that had a business, and Steve was my first business mentor. Whenever I needed to ask him questions, like, "Well, how does money work? Or how do you set up a company or whatever?" Steve was the one. If we exclude all the boxing support, he was the one that just taught me the basics and just taught me, look, it's not that hard. Believe in yourself and back yourself. And what was that story you told me about today at the Galleria? I completely forgot. The list of business owners.
Oh, when we was having dinner that day, yeah. Me, you, Louis and Ellis, and then you was running me through, I think it was an old BlackBerry phone or something. Yeah. You was running me through a list of about 100 businesses that you're going to start one day.
That's it. Yeah. That's it. So the way that Steve used to mentor me is, even though technically you were only allowed to box on a Monday, Wednesday, Friday and a Sunday at the amateur gym, I used to sneak into the Fat Boys Club and I didn't have a lot of money, and Steve would never charge me ever. He refused to let me pay for Fat Boys. And then he'd give me a lift home. And he'd give me a lift home afterwards. We'd just talk about, how does life work? How does business work? Or how do I deal with this challenge and deal with that challenge? And that really just completely opened the doors to my mind as to what was possible. Because you were the only person I knew that had a business, and you were the only person that could actually teach me something and go, no, don't worry about that. That's not important. That's not important. Steve's backed me in all my businesses. Every business I've gone into, he's backed me, whether it's been successful or whether it's failed. He's always been there. He's always given me advice. He's always given me guidance. And I think, like I said, I just wouldn't be where I am without you. What would you say was the thing that you saw in me when I was coming up as a teenager, trying to figure out business?
What, business-wise? Well,
yeah.
Well, you asked Luke, you've always told Luke you'll be a millionaire one day. Because you're fucking non-stop, so we just wanted to do something, no matter what it was. Fridges, going wherever they went to.
Yeah. Fridges. So, here was one business we tried to set up. So, a friend of mine from Somalia, he said to me, look, it's really hard to get hold of white goods over in Africa, and we think if we can ship them to Tanzania, we can really turn a great profit. I was like, okay, well, how do we set that up? And I was talking to Steve about the idea, and I was like, Steve, I'm going to need £1,000 to do it, but I haven't got, I think it was actually 1,500 and I had 500, and you went, all right, well, I'll invest £1,000. I can't remember, what was the investment deal? I said we'd give you a cut.
I lend it to you.
Did you lend it?
Yeah, I lend it to you.
So I was like, all right, let's do it. And then essentially...
No, I didn't lend it, you were saving it up. I did lend it, you only just make it quicker.
Gotcha.
You was going to save it up yourself, but I said no.
That was it.
Remember?
Yeah, I remember it now. So I'm trying to save up £1,000 for these fridges, and Steve was like, look, I've already got it. Go invest it. Go see what happens. So we go and do that, and the fridges. So essentially, I was going to go and put them in a lockup. Steve went, don't do that. Try and find someone that's got all of them. We did. We found a place in London. They had all of these white goods. So we bought a container full and shipped them over to Tanzania. And we're trying to get them over, and they get stuck. And then there was a storm, and then they didn't want to release them from a port. And I'm going, oh God, fucking hell, it's not working. Steve's going to think I'm a loser. Steve's going to think I've fucked up. Steve's going to give up on me. And actually,
you give me the updates, didn't you, on training?
That was
on
it.
On a Tuesday, you tell me where they were in the world.
Yeah, that was it.
They hadn't moved somewhere for so many weeks.
And then they never got through. And in the end, it just got to the point where I was like, I don't know if this is going to come off. In the end, it did. We didn't make any money. We broke even. I gave you the cash back. And it was that backing and that knowledge, I think, that just was just so... You didn't care if I failed or not, did you?
No, it wasn't about failing, was it? Having a go.
Yeah.
Having a go, do you know what I mean? And now, it ain't that much money when you think about it. It sounded loads in them days, didn't it, to you?
No, I mean, look, I grew up in a council house, didn't know anyone with money. So for me, it was like a really eye-opening moment insofar as, oh my God, that's what you can do. I didn't even know you could borrow money to go and put it in. Do you know, I didn't even think about that. And how old, I think I was 14, 15 when I did that. Maybe older.
Yeah, 15, I reckon. Yeah, left school.
Yeah, so that was good fun.
And how many people that age has even got a container? They wouldn't even know where to go find one, let alone fucking fill it up with fridges and send it off.
I had to lie about my age. Do you know? I had to lie.
Coming back to me now.
I had to lie about my age. And there was I remember another moment as well. I think I was about 16, and I didn't have a very good laptop, and I was umming and ahhing about buying an iPad. And we sat in your car and we argued for 45 minutes about whether I should go and buy the iPad or not. I was like, yeah, but I haven't got enough money. He's like, yeah, I think you do. He's like, oh, I'm gonna save up, and yeah, but is it a good idea? Because it's gonna, it's gonna take another 2 months to save up, and I've run out.
We was arguing about, was it worth it? And you was telling me what you needed it for. And then we got to think, I said, how much is an iPad then? And you went, I know, so-and-so. Oh, what the fuck are you worried about? You need it. So then that's what it was. Then we realised we were arguing about nothing.
Yeah, that was it. And then Steve essentially threw the cash at me, said, get the fuck out, go and buy it and learn the lesson. So I went out, I bought it. And it was in that moment where the business started to change. And I was like, oh my God, yeah, of course you need to put money up front. Sounds so simple when you hear it now, but of course you need to put money up front in order to get the equipment I need in order to go and build the business. And then I started to go and build the business, and the business started to grow. And that lesson was so simple. It was so simple. You just
still got it?
Yeah, I've still got the iPad.
Keep forever.
Yeah, I've still got it. That lesson was a game changer. And then that took us to the next company, which was, you remember the Firsty bag?
Yeah, I've got one.
You still got one?
Yeah, I've got one. Yeah.
So at that time, I went to the Peter Jones Academy. And the Peter Jones Academy was...
Forgot about that as well.
Yeah. So Peter Jones, for those who don't know who Peter Jones is, he's one of the most successful investors in the UK. He's on a show called Dragon's Den, which is like Shark Tank over in the US and in Australia. And he essentially set up a school where instead of you doing exams and coursework, you set up a company, and they'll assess you on your performance of how you'd run that. So as I'm working my way through that, again, I lied about my age. I was the youngest on that course. I was 16. Everyone else there was 18, 19, 20, some of them in the mid-20s. And I had this idea. So I dropped my phone down the toilet, and my phone got broken. And I was like, and this is back when phones weren't waterproof. Dropped my phone in the toilet. I was like, what are we going to do? So I was Googling, and people said about rice. I asked my dad. My dad said, there's a little bag that they put in pharmaceutical boxes. And I can't remember the name of the compound, but you know when you buy a handbag and it's got those little gels, it's silica. Yeah. It's got silica in it, and silica absorbs all the moisture. So I had this idea, as if I can buy some silica, which my dad took from his factory, and I put it in these little Ziploc bags. We tested it, and it could dry out a phone. Problem was the production process. I couldn't keep the silica because it's actually a toxic chemical. You're not actually technically allowed to keep it, and it was always drying out by the time I put it in the bag. So I found a company in the US that was selling this product. So I was 16 years old. I billed myself as KLO Distributions International was the name of the company that I put in. I sent them an email. I said, hello, sir. I'm Kyran, the CEO of KLO Distributions. I want to import some of these bags. I want to become the UK exclusive distribution license. And they went, yeah, go on then. First of all, they said, get on a call. So I get on the call, and I'm wearing a suit. I'm wearing a suit. I don't even have trousers, but I've got a white shirt and a tie. So I turned up in the white shirt and a tie. And I'm like, yep, that's what I want to do. I think I can sell 1,000 units in my first year. But if I'm going to invest money and time, I want the exclusive rights. So they signed me the exclusive rights. That was the deal. I'm 16 years old. I got these. I bought 50 of them. You bought the first one.
That's right.
You bought the first one. You said, save me the first one. I'm buying it. Bought that. Sold 50. All good. I bought another 100. Sold all those, all good. Bought another 100. There's still about 50 in my mum's loft because I couldn't shift them. And the reason I couldn't shift them was because of I didn't know how to sell B2B. Can you remember? I knew how to sell like the boxing club. I knew how to sell like to friends and family, but I didn't know how to sell to businesses. And as a result, I got stuck with all this stock. And then within the agreement, they started selling those same bags to other distributors in the UK, even though I technically had the license. And I said, technically I've got the license. And I think what happened is they did their homework. They searched me up. They saw me as a young kid on the Peter Jones website. And I think they took the attitude of, what are you going to do, sue us? And that's what I said to you. I was like, what am I going to do? You said, well, you're pretty expensive for you to fight it. You might just want to sort of...
You know, I forgot half this story. I forgot this one. Yeah. I forgot that bit. I knew about the bag. I forgot about the whole story of it.
Yeah. And I said to you, I was like, what do I do? Do I sue him? And you just said, it's expensive, mate. It's an expensive route to go down. And I was like, all right, we'll chalk that one off to experience. But you always kept saying, kept going, keep trying, keep ducking, keep diving, keep giving it a go. And I did.
But it's very much like boxing, isn't it, really? Everything does. As Martin used to always say as well, life's just like boxing, you know. Just got to keep having a go.
I mean, if you look at the lessons, they're all the same. You're only as good as your last fight. You're only as good as your latest products. You're only as good as your latest month from a performance perspective and a financial performance perspective. You
only get out what you put in.
You only get out what you put in. That's something that Martin always used to say that. You only get out what you put in. He also used to say, if you cheat, you're only cheating yourself and you can't cut corners. And I internalized all of those lessons. Sometimes you're just going to get your ass kicked. Like you are just going to have your ass kicked. And sometimes you've just got to dust yourself down and go, all right, start again. And it felt, at the time, for me, like such a colossal failure. Like every single time I didn't win a fight, every single time a business didn't work out, it felt like the end of the world. It felt like, no, like shit. And you just said to me, don't worry about it. Get on with it. Next.
No matter, does it? Move on.
Get on, next. And it just completely changed the game. And then
same in the championships and all, wasn't it?
Yeah.
If you get beat, you get beat. Come out, go to the bar.
that was what. Do you remember? I got to the Senior ABA Elite quarterfinals. That was at the Echo Arena in Liverpool. And we all thought it was my year. We were all convinced that this was going to be the one. So all of you guys all went up to Liverpool, and I got drawn Chris Bullock, who's now, I think he's a WBC international champion, I think, in the pros. And we thought complacently, we got the easy draw. He's the London champion. That was not the fucking easy draw. And he just got hands down, beat me, didn't he?
Because we watched him the week before, didn't we?
Yeah, and we thought, Kyran could beat him.
Yeah.
And you know what happened there? I got complacent. I got a little bit complacent, and I think...
Like you nearly did at Phoenix. Not Phoenix.
Peacock.
Yeah. Sitting there in your suit and I'd have a little word with you.
That was a funny story. That one was, I was working in sales at the time, and so I was wearing all in the suit, and I turn up to the show, and I turn up in my suit, and everybody's like looking at me like, who's the guy in the suit? Like getting like all weighed in and whatever. And we had 3 fighters on that day. Michael Wilcock. I can't remember the other kid. I thought it was Ross. Ross said no. But there was 3 of us on against their fighters, and they stopped Michael, and then they stopped the other kid.
I'm trying to think who the other one was.
I can't remember.
No.
But anyway, they stopped too, and our fight was top of the bill. And what top of the bill means is you are the top fight. That's like the one that's like the last of the show. It keeps everyone in.
And it was their superstar.
It was, yeah. It was Casey Kadami, who I think is the Southern Area and English champion now. He's in the pros. Everyone said, he's going to win. Some guy come up to you and put a bet on, didn't he?
His brother.
Yeah.
I was talking to his brother before, and he's big in it. I said, I said, no, not today, mate. I said, he's not winning today. So then we go into the fucking change room, and there's a skinny little fucker in his suit, and he goes, is that him? No, you come up to me. I said, this is the boy. He goes, well, that's going to be my brother, my boy. I'm telling you, mate, this is the one.
Still in my suit.
Yeah. Little skinny, and they were like, no.
I remember as well, I was reading that day, and I remember everyone looking at me going, who's this bloke in the suit reading? And I'm just sort of focused. I'm not really into all of that. But I'd just been on an England squad the week before, and I was feeling confident that day. And you came in and you slapped me and you said, just because you've been on the England squad don't mean fuck all. You got to be up for this one. And I went into that fight, and that actually taught me a lot.
Well, I just bet his brother, didn't I?
Well, yeah, you just you had money on it. You just said to me, don't get complacent. Just because you're in England doesn't mean fuck all down here. And it really was one of those moments. And then I remember getting into the ring, and they started arguing about
4 or 3 rounds.
4 rounds, 3 rounds, 3 minutes, 2 minutes. And I remember just thinking, hang on, 2 of our boys have just been chinned by you lot. You're all laughing at me because I'm in my suit. I don't care. You're getting it. You're absolutely getting it. And in that moment, I had so much focus. I just stared at him. He flinched and started looking at the coaches arguing, and I didn't take my eyes off him. And then my coach
and that was a while, I don't know, wasn't it? About 5-10 minutes.
5-10 minutes they were arguing. And in that moment of uncertainty, I just stared at the target, and I just said, I don't care where I'm going. And then Paul said, look, if it's not 4 2s, they're going to pull the fight. And I said, I don't care if it's 10-minute rounds. Let's go. And then that was one of my best performances, I think. Yeah, that's a polite way of putting it. I just couldn't miss. I just outworked him, outboxed him, outfought him. I think I beat him before we even got in the ring. I think that mentality of I don't care. I think, and all of that pressure and all that noise, I think I just beat him before I got in the ring because I didn't take my eyes off him.
He was supposed to be the new Schmudo, wasn't he? They thought he was going to be the big daddy, didn't they?
I know, he was a good fighter. He weren't shit. But I just kept my cool. And on it went. And then we went a layer deeper into the next business, if you remember, after that, which was make weight. Yeah. So at this point, this is where Steve really, really backed me. And we built an app, which was a nutrition app for fighters. And what it did was you put in your height, your weight, your body type, and it would run a calculation and say, based on you and where your fight is and how often you're training and how you're training, we think you need to eat this many calories to lose weight. and here's all your meal plan, and then you can pick all the various different foods. And at that stage, I was on the England team. I was training full time. Again, you backed me in that one. You said you was my first ever sponsor.
Yep.
You sponsored me you sponsored me with.
When you got in that firm in Letchworth.
Yeah, that's right.
It.
That's it. So at this stage, I think I was 18, wasn't I? 17, 18. I was 18. I think it was 18. I just sold over $500,000 worth of software, which is a whole nother story. And I got to this point where I had some commission in the bank. If you remember, I was like, right, I've got some commission, I've got some savings. I'm a bit nervous. Should I go for it? And you said, don't die wondering, just go after it. Just go get it. You'll never get this opportunity again. And I did it. And it was very hard, but it was one of the best things ever. Because again, I learned how hard it is to be a full-time athlete and how hard it is to be an entrepreneur. And to be honest, that fucked me. I found that so hard. And we're trying to build the business. We realized, right, we're going to need about 30 grand to get the MVP built and to get that running. So I pitched you a 15 grand loan. I think it was 5% that would give you.
Yep.
And then
5% of the business, wasn't it?
That was it.
Yep.
15 grand loan, and you get 5% of the company. And I said, on a personal level, even if the company goes bust, I'll pay you back. And Luke did the same with his uncle, and we pitched his uncle, and we raised the investment. And the market wasn't big enough. Fighting is actually a very, very small market, and we were targeting fighters, and that wasn't the right angle. It wasn't the right move. It just wasn't there. So in the end, we'd built this expensive product. We built this app. It looked really cool. We wasted loads. That was one of the best business lessons you ever taught me, ever. I still teach some of my clients it today, which is get used to losing money, mate.
It's true. If you want in business, you're gonna lose money every day, and if you can't lose it, you give up that day.
How did you learn that lesson?
I lost loads of money, but I lose money every day. But I lose money 7 days. I might lose money one day, but I know if you keep going, the other 5 days or 6 days, you'll make a profit. But you're gonna always lose some, always.
Yeah.
If you can't lose money, you'll jack it if you can't lose it.
You told me that really early.
It's true, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so true. And I think it's just getting to the point where it goes, oh well. And a lot of coaches and entrepreneurs listening to this is they're afraid of losing money. But this isn't to say be reckless and be stupid, but you have to have that.
It's going to happen.
It's going to happen. It's inevitable. There's no person on the planet that just makes good investments and then they all go.
Is that easy? Everyone to do it, isn't it?
Yeah. I even had this with my team recently. I put in, I think it was €1,000, maybe less, maybe €700 into this new system that we were building. And we built it, we looked at it, didn't like it. We had it custom built, bespoke, showed it to the team, and like, it's horrible. That doesn't quite fit. And if I had been upset, or if I had been, oh yeah, but I put the money in, I'd have made everyone use it. And I just went, no, all right, we'll can it. We'll just cut the umbilical cord. And that ability to cut that is so important. Because that's what you taught me. You're always going to lose money.
You can spend 3 or 4 days worrying about it, or just make some more money somewhere else.
Exactly that. Yeah. Exactly that. So we put the money in. We're building it, and we're building it, and we're building it, and it's taking longer than we thought. A lot longer to build it. And the developers said they could do all of these various different things. The reality is it couldn't quite do that. Another thing we wasted money on was we spent £1,500 on branding. We got on
what was that Chinese thing you bought that I thought was going to be the daddy that added to it?
We bought, it was
the Chinese or something?
Was it the
Chinese girl?
The social network.
Something you bought that done and told people, I think it was what told people what protein was. Something I can't remember. I thought that was going to change everything.
Yeah, we bought a piece of tech inside it that would speed that up. We thought that was going to change the game, but it didn't work. We spent £1,500 on like logos, website design, like typography. We didn't need to spend that much money. We look at TMP now. I built the brand, I built the logo, and I built that on Canva. It cost me nothing. So all of those learnings, I actually wrote down a list of everything that I had spent in that on that was stupid. And in this next company that I've got now, I didn't make the same mistakes.
That's why.
Yeah.
So it weren't a waste of money then, was it?
Well, this is what I always say, because I didn't go to university to study business. Yes, I graduated from the Peter Jones Academy. But for me, getting a startup, going to market, losing £30,000 in total of the investment, that was, and for me, that was 15 grand. That 15 grand taught me more than a business degree or a master's or anything like that, because I had direct practical skills. So next time I set up a company, I knew I'm not going to do that again. That's a waste of time. I'm not going to do that again. That's stupid.
Exactly. You don't know till you fail that that's not to be done again.
Yeah.
And you paid me every penny back.
Yeah. I promised. I promised I'll pay every single penny, and it weren't easy to get back, was it?
No.
It weren't easy to get back. Fucking hell.
You went back to sales, didn't you?
I did. I went back to sales. Actually, Ron.
Yeah.
So we're in this meeting with Ron, and we're trying to pitch him for 50 grand, and we're going through it, done the pitch, and within 10 to 15 minutes, he's gone, "This is why you guys are going bust, and this is why you should stop it." And we did, and it was in that moment, me and Luke, one of my other best mates and business partners at the time, we looked at each other and went, "Yeah, that's it, it's done." I remember being so scared to tell you that. Oh, Steve, I've lost all of it. Oh, Steve, I've fucked. I remember going, oh, I don't know how I'm going to tell him. Fucking hell. Can you remember when I told you?
Was it sitting in the car outside the house, or was that when you told me he was giving up boxing, or was that to say another day?
No, that was a different day. But I think I called you, and I remember you go, "Well, unlucky, son. On we go." That was it. A lot of the time, the hard conversations are harder in your head than they actually are in reality.
Yeah.
I remember I was like, well, I'm still going to pay you back. I'm still going to go. He said, "Kyran, shut up. I know you're going to do that. I've got no stress about that." I think
that's what I got. Yeah, so I said to you, I goes, "Yeah, you just told me you're going to pay me back, didn't you?" You went, "Yeah." So I don't care then.
Yeah, that was exactly it. Yeah, you were so relaxed. You didn't give a shit. But in my head, I'm a failure again, because I had a big fear of failure that used to drive a lot of my boxing, used to drive a lot of the business. It's fear of failure, not even just doing it, And after that, that's when I went back to sales. And I actually asked Ron, I'm stuck, got all this debt, I don't know what I'm doing. And I moved to London, and I tell you what, that was a really tough period in my life. I don't know if you remember this period.
And you lived at, stayed in Arnie's flat, I think, yeah.
Yeah, so I was renting a room for a mate of mine, and he was illegally subletting a room. So I was there for 2 months, and then we got kicked out. So I didn't have anywhere to live, and at that time,
the fridge boy.
Yeah. I didn't have I didn't have anywhere to live. I didn't have enough money. I'm 15 grand in debt, and I'm thinking, fuck. So what I did at that time was I was living on my auntie's sofa and a 1-bedroom council flat on a really rough estate in South London. And I'd lived there to keep my costs down and get to work, because I couldn't afford the train ticket in. I'd be doing that. I'd be in the office 8 a.m. until about 7 p.m. Then I'd get the train over to Dale Youth Boxing Club. I'll do that. Get there for about 7:30, finish training at about 9:30. Then it would take a 45-minute journey back, and I'd do that Monday to Friday. And then on Sundays I'd spar, and then on Saturdays I'd rest. And it was and I was on 1,400 calories, I was training every day, trying to clear off this debt. And I remember just working and working and working and working. You hardly used to see me because I was in London.
Right. Yeah.
And I was still having fights. I boxed at the Harringay Cup. I made a comeback for that one.
Who did you box for then?
That was Hoddesdon, but Dale Youth trained me. Dale Youth coached me, and then they said, we're part of the alliance, so if you want to go and fight for Hoddesdon. That was really, Mick Delaney really looked after me there, and Jamie. They really, really looked after me, those guys. I was just grafting and grafting and grafting and grafting and grafting. And then I remember, I was just paying it off every month, wasn't I? I was just like, right, Steve, I've just sent you
Going
this.
in the bank every month,
I've just sent you this. And I remember after 7 or 8 months of just grafting and grafting and grafting, I called you. And I was like, Steve, you never guess what? And he's like, what? And I was like, it's done. It's like, it's finished.
Didn't you overpay me? Didn't I have to give you some back?
Yeah, you did, yeah.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I just kept paying you. I was like, I just kind of forgot. I just keep every penny that I get, we'll just clear this debt off, and it's just going to go. And then I cleared it off, and then I said, what do I do now? And you said, try and get savings. Try and get £5,000 or £10,000 worth from the bank. Try and do that, and then that way you can move out your auntie's flat and feel safe. And then I started working towards those goals, and I started doing that, and yeah, that was a really, really tough period. But I'm old school. We shake hands and say, right, I'll pay you back. I'll always pay you back.
Yeah.
We do a deal, and that's it.
And you didn't give up. You started just grafted.
That was it. And then that's where, I spent a few years in sales and managed to travel the world doing that. Earned really good money. I actually stopped fighting just to focus on that. And then that's really where I went into, I kind of gave up on starting my own businesses for a few years, didn't I?
I'm trying to imagine, because then you did go back in sales for a long time, didn't you?
Yeah, went back to sales, was working there. And then sales is really good when you're skint and you're really insecure. But I was doing a lot of work with Hazel. So Hazel was my first ever therapist and mental performance coach. And she actually helped me, that transition between boxing and sales. I actually had an eating disorder, and I was binge eating, and it was really not good. Depressed, wanted to take my own life. She helped me get out of that, and I'd done a lot of work with her. And she was a former kickboxing world champion. You went to go see Hazel once, didn't you?
Yeah, you sent me.
Yeah. She was a former kickboxing.
Like you make me do this.
Yeah, just like I make you do this. You push me out my comfort zone, so sometimes I get to throw some punches back. And she changed my life. And that's when I kind of wanted to start doing what she did, because she made such an impact on me. And then from there, I realized I started enjoying coaching the juniors in my company more than I did actually doing the selling. So it got to the point where I was like, well, what am I selling for anymore? I don't want to do this. And after that, that's where I decided to leave. And then I redid all my studies. I did my studies alongside my work. And then, if you remember, I took a year out during COVID.
Yep.
I did no.
How could you save that money though?
Exactly. I'd saved up enough runway to go, I don't have to work. So I booked everything off, and I just completed my studies, started coaching lots of people for free. And then there was a moment where they started paying me. And I was like, wow, and I got my first ever client. That's actually in Valencia with Louis. And here's a crazy, something we haven't even touched on the podcast yet, which is your brother Martin. And I'll probably start crying. You might start crying if we're not careful. But that was my first ever boxing coach, and he changed my life. He just held up some pads and he said, hit those, mate, and don't worry about everything else. Don't worry about what's going on at school. Don't worry about what's going on at home. Just hit the pads. And I just hit the pad, and I loved it. And you go, yeah, go running tomorrow and just do that. Just do 3 miles and then come back. And he just completely changed my life. I completely changed my life. Sadly, he passed away when I was 16. And he actually gave me the model of how I want to be insofar as how I want to leave the world. So I was in Spain for the funeral, if you remember. I was late coming back.
Yep.
And I didn't realize they'd saved me a seat inside the funeral, but the flight was delayed. So anyway, we rushed back. We're there, and I couldn't get into the church, which is next to this boxing club. I couldn't get into the church because the street had so many people where my coach Martin had impacted their lives positively. I could literally flooded whole of the church, all down the street. I couldn't get in. I couldn't get in the church. I remember thinking at that moment, I was gutted because I wasn't able to get in. But I remember thinking, like, imagine living a life so, like, you impact that many people's lives that there's people lining up down the street. Because in those moments, you really see, did this person really,
there, mate, yeah.
Do people really change the game or not?
And we all met in the boxing club, which was right next door to the church.
Yeah.
And you was a bit later than us.
Yeah.
And it was full of people, Steve and Jenny, all the trainers from everywhere. It was great.
Yeah. It's unbelievable. That man changed so much. And one thing he taught me about fear, Martin taught me about fear. He said, you're always going to be scared. That's not going to go away. But you can't back down in the face of fear. You cannot back down in those moments. You got to go for it. And you got to learn to channel this fear and use it. And that's not just boxing. That's for anything in life. You're always going to come up with moments where you're going to be scared, and you got to make it fucking work. And that's exactly what he taught me. But anyway, we're me and Louis are in Valencia, so we decided to travel. I'm doing my studies. Louis' coaching business has blown up, and we go to this. The weirdest thing, right? It's almost as if fate. I do believe in the universe, and I do believe weird things happen. But we rented a flat, and this flat was for a month was on a street called St. Martin Street. And we only clocked this later. That's on St. Martin Street. Down the road, there's only one pub that's showing the boxing, because the boxing was on that night.
Yeah, that's right, yeah.
That pub was called, there's an AJ fight, AJ versus Povetkin. And maybe it was earlier than that. I can't remember which one. I think it was that one. That's one that stuck in my head. But anyway.
Dylan White, I think.
The first one. Yeah, I think it was. The first. Yeah.
Dylan White fighting the other one.
Yeah.
Not JJ. One AJ.
Was it Dylan White?
I think so.
Anyway, we're in there. And we find one pub, and the pub's called the St. Martin Pub. So we're on St. Martin's Road. And we didn't know none of this. We were in St. Martin's Pub. St. Martin's Road in the St. Martin's Pub. And that's where of all people in this Valencian pub, we met this English guy. And we started chatting away and whatever. And I told him what I was up to and, you know, how I was doing loads. I must have done about 100, maybe 150 coaching hours one-to-one for free. And these weren't just with anyone. These were with top people, because I just wanted to get the experience. And I said to him, yeah, you know, I'm doing it. I'm just trying to get my 100 hours in. This guy owned his own businesses, whatever. And he goes, yeah, I'll give that a go. Yeah, how much do you charge? And I said, I'll do it. I'm doing it for free at the moment. I'm trying to get 200 hours done. And he said, no, I'll pay you. And I said, okay, well, how does that work? He goes, well, what do you want to charge? And in my head, I just pulled off a random number. I said, 75 euros? And he goes, we'll do 50. I went, all right. and that's where I got my first ever paid coaching client, was in the St. Martin's Pub. And I do believe that it was only afterwards when me and Louis reflected, when we were moving out that flat, it was like, hang on a minute, this is the St. Martin's Pub, St. Martin's Road, in St. Martin's Pub, watching the boxing, and that's where you got your first ever paid client. And I do believe in that stuff. And from there, I just started coaching. And then I started picking up clients, and I started earning money. And then that's when I got the opportunity to go to Dubai, if you remember. But by that point, my savings had been dwindling. So I was at this point where I'm like, I don't have as much savings as I did. And I was like, do I go to Dubai? Should I not? Should I? Shouldn't I? And you said to me, you'd be fucking stupid to not go.
You turned up training, didn't you?
That's it.
In the garage.
Yeah.
And you can't lie, because your eyes always tell when you come in and your eyes are brown. And I thought, what's up, mate? Nothing. And then you go, right, what it is, I don't want to go with Louis now. So what do you mean you're not going? You reeled it off. So I said, how much money you got? How much money are you making? You went, how much? Okay, how much money you got in the bank? You said, that much. So I said, how much money are you going to cost you to go to Dubai for 2 weeks? You said how much it was. So again, like we're going, yeah, but you're fucking mental not to go.
Yeah,
do you know what I mean? Because if you don't go, you're never going to meet anyone different.
Yeah.
And that's what we said. And you forced yourself to go, didn't you?
Yeah, and if I hadn't have gone, TMP wouldn't exist. Total Mental Performance wouldn't exist. Because by that point, I'd been working with mainly business owners and business leaders, but nothing to do in the coaching space. And essentially got an invitation to go to Dubai, and I went, and then hustled onto an event that Louis was going on to. And this event was the Inner Circle event by Adam Haley. And I said to Louis when we was there, ask Adam if he needs a mindset speaker. Let's just see. So he asked, and he said, yeah, that'd be great. So I came in and delivered a talk, and of the 25 people in the audience, 15 of them all signed up in the following months after that talk. So all of a sudden I'm fully booked. And 2 months later, I was like, I can't keep doing this on my own. I've got to build a brand. So then I built a logo. I looked at all of the mistakes I had in the previous business, and I went, right, don't make that one, don't make that one, don't make that one, don't make that one. I set up the company, and then next thing you know, I'm fully booked. And then I brought on board Kate, and then she became fully booked. And then we brought on Dan, and then we've got Charlotte coming on board, and it just grew and it grew and it grew and it grew and it grew. But there were so many points along this journey.
Didn't you actually have the bloke whose gig it was as a client?
Yeah, he signed up.
Yeah.
The guy whose event it was, Adam, he signed up, and he worked with me for 18 months one-to-one, and it all just blew up from there. But I almost backed out of that.
Over about $2,000.
Yeah, I think that was what it was. And you know what's interesting as well is I never wanted to live in Dubai. That was never part of the plan. I turned my nose up at the place. I thought, nah, it's too flashy. It's not for me. Not that I've now become flashy. That hasn't changed. But I found a part of Dubai that's very quiet. It's almost like the Welwyn Garden City of that area. Very quiet, very chilled. But I nearly didn't go. And if I didn't go, I still believe I would be successful. I still believe I'll have building a company or Total Mental Performance in either the same field or a different field. I still believe that, but I don't think I'd have done it as quickly. And it would have taken me a lot more time if you hadn't said, "What are you fucking about for? Go and fucking do it." Smack me around the back of the head and off we did it. And I say this time and time again, I just wouldn't be where I am without you.
But it's only the very simple things as well. Nothing drastic, is it? I've not told you anything that ain't special. It's just the very simple things of just fucking get on with it.
Success is simple.
Yeah. Don't overcomplicate it.
Yeah. Just like boxing. When you start trying to do all these complicated combinations, it don't work. 1, 2, down the pipe.
Yeah.
And all I can say is thank you. I just wouldn't be doing what I'm doing. Louis wouldn't be doing what he's doing. TMP wouldn't be doing what he's doing. There were so many times I wanted to give up. There were so many times where I'd sit in your car just like feeling like a failure, feeling like a loser, having failed or lost a fight or a business didn't work out or I'd lost money or whatever. And every single time you just told me, "Tuck it up, son." Fucking get on with it.
If it's easy, everyone does it, mate.
Yeah, that was it. That was it. If it was easy, everyone would be doing this. Yeah. So, you either want it, you don't. And
everyone wants to give up regular.
Yeah.
You just don't.
Yeah.
You do for a day and you think, fuck it, here we go again.
That's it. So, Steve, thank you so much for being a part of my journey. Thank you so much for coming out of the comfort zone as well. I know you really didn't want to do this, but fear doesn't go away, does it?
No.
As you taught me. So, no. Thank you very much. If you're somebody that lives in the Hertfordshire area and you need your car done, go to Hall Grove Garage. Just search them in Google. Tell them you come from Total Mental Performance, and Steve will look after you. Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Please share this out to your story if you get the opportunity. And big love.